As we know, last Thursday, the teams of the Gugner and the Nightingale teamed up. They're um, the Necrovians cap have captured about 10,000 Anarthians and a number of Starfleet officers, and the Gugner was tasked to retrieve them. Calling in the Nightingale for assistance. Well, quite frankly, not if there was a firefight part of it, but for assistance with the both civilians and officers. The two teams managed to start and open negotiations with the Necrovians. Um, coming across realizing that what they needed most was food and, well, a good source of it. And realizing that their food and digestive systems were biologically dependent on the decay of necrosis, um, a plan was hatched to, well, clone a bunch of elk, something that was quite frankly able to be done. And as negotiations proceeded, the Necrovians themselves had a little bit of an internal spat, which spelled out some pretty bad news for most of our crew members who were in the vicinity. As we know, I believe our own Nightingale's own XO, Desesh, was knocked unconscious. I apologize. I don't remember exactly who else was, leaving only Fox up. If I remember correctly, rapidly spamming the stop
I
pictorial.
was the only one in the room other than Disesh at that time, and I didn't rapidly hit it. I just smashed it with my fist.
Fair enough. Fair enough. However, that was certainly enough to get them to, well, uh, stop their bickering long enough that the situation calmed down. And um, here's where my knowledge starts to get a little bit fuzzy, but as Desesh woke up and was exceedingly insistent on getting back into the room, the sun started to go nova. And while the two ships were easily able to bug out, the Necrovian's nest was oh, and Mr. Sorrell did get a brain hemorrhage and nearly died. Sorry. But unfortunately, the nest was having a little bit of engine troubles. Managing to fix that just before the shockwave hit. Well, you guys managed to make it to the end of to the edge of the system, well outside the Nova's destructive path. And this is when I'm gonna start the kind of the week skip and say that doing as a result of that, the Necrovians have been a little bit more open and have agreed to be a little bit more patient with you guys. And since New and Earth is, well, pretty close, the group of you essentially traveled there and have basically been setting up a colony for the Anarthians while dual purposefully growing cattle for the Necrovians. They, in a show of good faith, while keeping the Starfleet officers, they have released the civilians who are now down on the planet. Um, and now we're pretty much in a holding pattern waiting for these elk to be developed. And on that note, I'm gonna start as I so often do in the beginning of Alpha Shift, where we have over on the Nightingale a little bit of a meeting of the captains to kind of, well, plan out the next step.
Yep. Uh, yeah, her ready room looks a lot like her office did on the Gugner, except for there's a puppy and a dog bed somewhere. uh, but yeah, she sits at her desk.
Captain. Um, I think we probably need to start negotiations as far as releasing the hostages or exchanging the hostages.
She'll nod. I agree, but I well, I would suggest having some kind of defense if they decide to throw a fit again.
Well, I'm hoping since we basically saved their bacon that they'll be a little more reasonable in negotiations.
Can I just make a point of clarification? The deal that Desesh set up, we was like just kelk for hostages. We should have the majority of the hostages back already.
Yes. So what I said, they in a show of good faith, they gave away all of the civilians
Oh, okay.
who are
Didn't catch
now
that.
on the planet. It's only the Starfleet officers that were now that are captured now.
Okay. I remember there's about, what, 40 or 50 of those?
47, I believe.
47.
Did the Necrovians express any reason why they didn't turn over the Starfleet officers along with everybody else, or is just unsaid?
They don't have their food yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like, we're still gonna hold you to it, but we'll let everybody else go.
Well, how many elk do we have at the moment?
So and I actually skipped this in the recap. I apologize. Let me flip us back. This is not only the start map, but it's in a way the system map. The Earth clone that is not actually Earth is new in Earth because why not? Aside from that, there's a rocky planet, a gas giant, and another arboreal planet in the system. Um, the You've already done the scans, or the pre-scans. They're both uninhabited. Uh, so I'd say probably you guys have been kind of beaming the elk down to that planet just as storage. And I would say that you've got a pretty large herd of them by now. I know someone did the math in the holodeck channel. I don't remember what it was, but I would say you're about 85% there.
I think it was like 1,000 or something of these things.
1970 something.
Saving two things.
Yeah, we'll go. You know what? 1979. We'll just go with that. But you've got maybe probably all hands on deck with the teams working probably about another day and a half or so before you're complete.
Yeah,
They have to issue
1900.
shovels to everybody.
um, she'll look at Rost and say, "Well, assuming we can get them to be cooperative, we can have the doctors on board here develop a well a resistance for us in case. Well, they may be more apt to be forthright and such with us. They may still argue amongst themselves, which I believe is what happened," she says.
Yeah, it sounds like they have a disagreement as to the solution of giving away their livestock and accepting ours. I don't know if that's a cultural thing or just fear or what, but I think we should also work at maybe some kind of, maybe general negotiation to ensure this doesn't happen again.
She nods. She'll hit her comm badge and say, Dr. Hakuri and Dr. Vanderveers, can you please come in here? Come to my ready room, please.
Kiana says she'll be right there.
She'll look back at Rost as they're walking to the bridge and whatnot and say, well, all that being said, she says, it would do little good for us if we all get completely wrecked every time they have a disagreement.
Well, we had developed these psionic inhibitors. It looks like they weren't terribly effective when they got above a certain level, but maybe we can modify them to be more effective. We use them to prevent psionic attacks from a different species previously. So maybe that can be a base to build on.
She nods. She kind of gets this devious grin, like she let's see, empathic or telepathic.
Telepathic.
Yeah, she's thinking to herself, should I tell him? Nah, as the door chimes. And she says, come in.
And the door opens, admitting Doctors Hakuri and Vanderveer.
Doctors. I believe you, have you read about what happened on the Gungnir?
Yes.
She nods. Dr. Vanderveer?
Looked over it, yeah.
She nods. Do you think you can do something to stop it from happening again?
Yeah, no, I can get right on it.
Yeah. We have everything building, getting the clones handled. I have some time to free up to get to it.
Yeah, well, I would also add that it seems like the telepathic races, Vulcans and Betazoids, seem to be most at risk of suffering injury from their outbursts.
Oh, right. Can you get the, you've got scans of the Necrovians, don't you? Because I don't think we actually got them.
Yeah, we have full scans when we were doing autopsies and also interrogating the prisoners.
Okay.
She turns to look at the doctors.
Well, if you compared their detailed scans to a brain scan of maybe, for example, a Ferengi, we can then cross-reference the two different neurosynaptic receptors that are being targeted by these attacks. If these other ones are more susceptible, that might give us a good idea, because the Ferengi brain isn't readable to most other types of telepaths.
True.
She thinks about that for a moment. She'll nod and say, the captain said he had a working telepathic inhibitor, but apparently it failed at higher, I guess, tantrum levels, we'll say.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
Science types might also be able to generate some kind of anti-wave out of a deflector dish, but that's not my area of expertise.
Our Commander Sorrell might be able to assist. He was instrumental in helping develop these.
I think that would work. Surely, Doctor, you have no problems working with a Vulcan, she says, smiling at Dr. Vanderveers, knowing he has the personality of a drunk Tellarite.
Vulcans are fine. Don't make great patients, but neither do doctors.
True.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
Well, our commander has the Vulcan equivalent of a drunken Tellarite personality too. So
Yeah, she would have thought that. So yeah, you would have you would have got that from her. All right, and I suppose we should probably open up talks again with the Necrovians for the last little bits of our people. That was an unfortunate choice of words.
yeah, I think we better do that quickly before they start looking like tonight's dinner.
Quite. Well, if you could, I guess send Sorel over to the doctors here. Jesus.
Certainly.
She nods. And she'll turn to the doctors and says, if you could start working on the psychic blockers, doctors. She says. You're dismissed. She says with a smile.
Yes. And Hikuri heads towards the biolab.
And has Dr. Vanderveer anything to say before?
No, he'll head to the lab.
Excellent.
I'll advise Sorrel that those doctors will be working on upgrading the psionic interference device, and if he can assist.
Hi, Captain.
Thank you.
She'll turn to Rost and she'll say, I had a thought. If we can somehow the Necrovians, they're nomadic by nature from what I've read, yes?
I don't know a whole lot about them. You may know more than I do.
Oh, well, I would know about that, she says. But, well, I don't see why we can't find a way to make them a little bit more stable. I mean, she thinks for a moment.
I mean, if they are nomads, I don't know why they are. If they had a home world at one time or something happened to it or, what other circumstances.
Well, from that list of quadrupeds that the commander was able to get us for the cloning decision, she says, it would suggest they were terrestrial at one point.
Well, maybe we can extend an offer to help them find a new homeworld. See if they're agreeable to that.
Well, my thought is perhaps the one we've been dropping the elk on. She says, from all scans, it's almost completely uninhabited. She says, your basic fauna and whatnot, but
You don't think the Inerthians would mind?
mm, not if we convince them that perhaps uh, a shared existence would be better than, well, being at odds with each other. Think about it this way, she says. Perhaps the Anethians can teach the Necrovians to be a bit more civilized, she says.
From what I've seen of the Inerthians, that's not likely. They're very conflicted and divided.
That may be, she says. But at the same time, they also don't have much in the way of defenses. But, she says, the Necrovians, without having to use the nest ship to go elsewhere, perhaps, she shrugs. It's a thought.
Yeah, just my initial gut reaction is having them too close together at this stage might be tempting fate. But we'll see what we can work out.
She nods. My thought is to have the commander go speak with them again. He has the rapport with them. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely, I think he does.
She nods. You were banging it like a boss.
I didn't think my mic was on.
Yep, we can hear you clicking away.
Sorry.
She says, was there anything else we needed to? She thinks for a moment, looking over her notes. Perhaps we can set up looking for a new home for them, somewhere nearby, perhaps.
Yeah, well, we can certainly offer it and see if they're looking for one. And they may have adapted to this lifestyle, but we can make that part of negotiations.
She nods. Well, I believe that's all I have for now. I'll let the commander know he will be going to go visit the Necrovians again.
All right, so I'm assuming we're going to head out as soon as we have the required number of elk.
Well, she thinks for a moment. Because out of character, I need a moment to think about what's going on for a second. She says, well, I was figuring we could at least get the Anethians up and running, the colony. I mean, the combined engineering of both ships should make it short work. At least while we're creating the elk.
raises the question: are we going to have to move all the Unearthians that we've transported from Unearth to, what was it, AEP 27? I think we had done at least 500,000. Or they continue to.
I think the planet we're orbiting is that colony that you dropped them off at.
In all fairness, I think so too, but I am not informed of those events. So I'm gonna tentatively say that that is that system, but
Oh,
I
okay,
apologize.
gotcha.
What are we talking about? Where people are going? Because we don't actually. Because as far as the Gunner knows, we don't know where the Inertians went for their new colony. Only the
Yeah,
expedition
we took
went
them.
from Mars.
Yeah, the AEP.
No, we took them back to TS17. Other people took
No,
them to their colony world.
no, we were part of the
Yes,
escort fleet.
I can tell you that much. That much I know.
Yes, but we were tasked with escorting it back and forth from DS17.
No, we were taking them to AEP 27, at least as far as what the author was telling me. It was all kind of handled in the background, not in game, but
We only told you, so my statement still stood.
Anyway,
No,
but
so then why don't we'll stick with this is tentatively, I'm sorry, what was it?
AEP 27, I believe.
AEP 27. So we'll tentatively say that's where we are.
Okay, we'll table that for another time then. Let them figure out if they want to go home and how to get there.
Gee, nuts. But
All right,
Yep,
so Operation Elk Poop is in motion.
exactly.
Oh, in which case, as as this conversation's kind of going on in the backdrop, let's check in on Desesh, who is just getting his orders to return to the nest.
Yeah, he'll get a message saying that he's going to basically go back to talking to the Necrovians, but after what happened last time, basically she's basically says as a mom would, basically you're taking your sister with you. So basically you're taking Lawson with you, no questions.
Happened anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if I get those orders, I am going to contact Lawson and ask her to assemble a small security team. I'll probably contact Harkuri as well, just because this involved cloning logistics, and might as well have her on hand. So if she's available to meet me in transporter room 2.
Will do.
Understood.
Feel like you should also ask the Gunner for their psychic dampeners, given what
Well, I
happened to you
still
last
have
time.
one. But you're right. We would need potentially more. Where do these come from? Is this new tech?
I think we
Can we
built
just
them.
replicate it?
You would need the schematics from us.
Yeah, we
So it is
developed it.
new tech. It's not from the
Yeah.
catalog.
No, yeah, it's
Okay.
something that we developed. There was another psionic race that could give you hallucinations and stuff like that we had to stop. So
All right. Then I'll contact the Gungnir. Desesh the Gungnir.
I'd say that Sorel is probably on the way to the lab, and the captain's with the captain. So
Me in
that
charge.
leaves me. Yep.
This is the Gunner. Go ahead.
Hello, Lieutenant. I am organizing an away team to the nest, and I was wondering if I would be able to acquire some more of these psychic dampeners. We don't have them over here.
Would you prefer us to deliver them or just the file for it?
Well, if they're able to be replicated, I would think the file would be fine.
Very well, I'll have it sent over.
Thank you, Lieutenant. The sesh out.
And he would contact Sorel about having the file for the psychic dampener sent to the Nightingale.
Which I think they were going there anyway. So, yay.
Good timing.
Does he appear in holodeck 2 then? Or sorry, transporter room 2?
Well, not yet actually, because uh the Sesh, just as you kind of close the communications and start to kind of stand up a little straighter, all of the sudden your mind goes reeling back to just a couple days ago as you were doing some recovery.
Like a memory?
Yes, sir. I'm throwing in a little flashback scene for you.
Okay. So am I in sick bay?
You are in sick bay. And as you kind of wake up during one of your periods of convalescence, you can see Jill standing over the bed.
Hi, Jill.
Oh, good to see you're still in one piece, Commander.
Yeah,
Give a smile.
apparently it was a little more dangerous than I was expecting.
Well, there is a certain amount of danger that comes with the job, but you still handled yourself fairly well, it seems, and the mission was accomplished, after all.
I'd like to think so.
Well, everybody was saved. That's what matters.
Well, we're in the process anyway. I feel like we uh, have set ourselves up with a pretty fragile situation, though. We've revealed the location of the colony. That puts us. Well, that raises the stakes rather considerably, I would think.
Well, consider the objective. We came here to help and to make sure that at least these 10,000 people were saved, and we've got that far.
Yeah.
Sure, it's a fragile situation, but we're still making progress, and progress is still progress, isn't it?
Yeah, I've spoken to the Necrovians, though. I get the impression their situation is fairly desperate. Uh, it's difficult to. We have two societies that are dealing with being at their worst, and this is a very volatile situation that we've found ourselves in the middle of. I'm really hoping that we'll be able to thread this particular needle.
And we will. We have time on our side this side now. Now that we're away from the stars, everybody has enough time to think, and with the cloning labs going at full force, there's plenty of time for everybody to think and figure things out. We're no longer rushing against the clock.
You see Desesh kind of like casually just pick up a hypo spray and give himself a shot. And if you want to do an insight check, you might want to.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to take a wild guess at insight medicine.
Sounds reasonable.
Let's see, there's no focus there.
I don't know if this is probably closed. Um,
Uh, yeah, whatever two successes will get me on that.
Mm-hmm. At least to get like you get the impression that he was kind of like, oh, like I forgot something, and like immediately went to it, and you get the impression that there was something on his mind. But he tries to play it off. The I I've been trying to figure out how this thing works, and he is holding his psychic dampener device that he got from the Gungnir. Have you ever seen one of these before?
No, I have not. That's something new from the gun gear, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't say that I felt like it worked particularly well, but they said it was a psychic dampener.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully, I'll be able to learn more about it. What brings you by, Lieutenant? Or Commander, just to visit?
She nods. I'm just curious, concerned, make sure that one of our own is making a full recovery. She
I
gives
think I
she gives a gentle smile at that.
I think you'll find me ready to get back into things just as soon as, well, a little brush with death gives you a chance to think about things.
Well, that is true. But it's not your first, and the way things are going, I'm pretty sure that this is not going to be our last either.
No, I suspect we'll be back in the transporter room soon. To the transporter room, I suppose.
That does sound like a perfect time to go back to the transporter room.
Mm-hmm.
Where, and sorry, I don't have a map for this, but where we will find a Commander Sorrel, um, who has just beamed over to the Nightingale, and as you take a step off the pad, you can see a young lieutenant standing sharply in front of you, and uh, as um, as she opens her mouth to speak, she asks questioningly, "Excuse me, Commander Sorrel, I believe."
That's correct, Lieutenant.
Hi, Commander. My name is Lieutenant Stevens. I've been asked to show you to our xenozoology lab.
Excellent. Lead the way.
Excellent. She says, kind of repeating you, and as she almost goes to raise her arm for a second to kind of guide you out of the room, she kind of thinks better of it and just kind of motions towards the sliding door, and she says, "Please follow me."
Indeed.
You can switch us if you want.
Oh, I was getting to it. And as she leads you through the hallways, a couple moments later, she brings you to the lab where you can see a I don't want to say pudgy, but a homely human doctor working, and a trill doctor well, packing up.
Greetings. I am Commander Sorrel of the Gungnir. My understanding is you are working on the Necrovian problem and could use my assistance.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
Vanderveers is muted.
All right. Hello.
Greetings.
Now, this case, do you mind if I take a quick scan of you real quick?
Excuse me?
Just a base medical scan.
Um, can I inquire as to the purpose of the scan?
Yeah. So what I want to do is take a brain scan of you and compare it to the scans that we have here to figure out what psychic attack is going on, what neurosynaptic relays in your CNS are being targeted. By comparing them to other species that we know their telepathic ideas of, we can figure out which ones are being targeted across the common ones in our different species and protect ourselves against it.
I see. The doctor aboard the Gungnir assured me I was completely recovered. Perhaps the scans he took at my initial injury would prove more useful than a scan of me now.
No. We have the waves, but having one of you in good condition is what I'm going to use as a baseline to compare it to.
Well, I can see no harm in it, so I consent to the scan.
You're in a fully functional lab, so I'd say it's pretty easy, probably a difficulty one. Why don't you know what? For this one, I take control, insight, or reason with medicine. Um, assisted by either Hakuri or Sorel if he'd like to help with his own diagnosis.
Yikes.
Oh, um, all right. So I'm gonna say that was Vanderveer's task, but I'll say Kiana could be the assist. So I'll take
Yep.
the first roll of that. So in that case, you did hit the difficulty and you did gain 2 momentum, and I need to reset the APIs so we can track that. But you do have a complication.
And you said I could assist.
Sorry. That was before I there was
Sorry,
already
I was looking
rolls.
for my character sheet, so it's fine.
No, that's fair. I apologize. Uh, so what I'm gonna do, Kiana, you don't have to do the second roll because you already rolled once.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna say that you guys have a complication on board, but you do have 2 momentum.
Well, that's up to the doctor.
Watch it.
What's the
Sure.
worst that could happen? You just hit Israel on the head with the tricorder. It's fine.
I'd like to avoid smacking anyone.
Now,
That's fair. And as you take uh, as you take the scans of the commander, um, you can see that um, due to the treatment of the Gugnir's doctor, he is indeed fully recovered. However, you can um, sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to put this. Uh, you can see that parts almost you know what You can see that some of the parts or microscopic parts of his brain, for example, almost appear to have been ever so slightly reconfigured, I guess, for lack of a better word. It's something that you actually have seen before, rather recently with the Ebon Expanse plague or issue.
Your medical team over on the Gungnir, did they inform you that your neural pathways have started to change a little bit, probably to reroute around minor damage?
Um, I have not had a chance to review the doctor's report from my surgery. I was only told that I was fit to return to duty.
Okay, yeah, that's. I'm going to give you a copy of the scan to give to him.
Okay.
And when's the last time you ate?
Uh, I believe I had breakfast at the appointed time. I would say 6 standard hours ago.
Excellent, thank you.
Since he's a Vulcan, he'll say 6.2 standard hours ago.
Um,
I think he's thinking.
Well, now I would like to take the information that I have, and I don't know if I want to make a holographic Ferengi or a holographic Ferengi's brain.
I say let's
Let's just go
start
with the
with
brain.
Alrighty. As I furiously look for an actual brain. Um,
And double it.
double.
They,
Oh
they got
yeah.
the 4 lobes, yo.
Ah, the damn Ferengi and
But
their four lobes. But I'd say the Nightingale holographics are pretty up to snuff, and that's something that's pretty easily accomplishable, especially in a lab that's well devoted to it. And a couple moments later, after you're peeking through the computers, um, a in the little holographic section of the lab, a brain pops up. And I'll get one, I swear.
we will want to hit it with the psionic wave. We know what that is. We have all the data for it, correct?
Uh, y- I believe so, yes. I'll say yes.
So we want to pass it through the Ferengi brain and then compare the things that do or don't light up and see if there's anything that's a commonality between the Vulcan and then the other Federation species brains that are being attacked.
Okay. Um, that's certainly fair. Quick question, just because I have to ask. Is there going to be any sort of shielding involved or...
Well, I'm not trying to blast us with it, so it'll be contained probably in a field. Um,
It'll be a
also it's
simulation.
holographic, so I don't know if it's with the safety protocols if that would keep us out of it, but isolated, like a brain in a vat experiment.
Well, it just sounds like you're running a very complex simulation, which is absolutely doable.
That's actually that's pretty fair. we'll say as Kiana kind of packs up and leaves, and um, Stevens kind of meanders out of the door, leaving just Sorrel and Vanderveers. Why don't to do that simulation, and you once again, Sorrel, more than welcome to assist if you'd like.
Okay.
Why don't you give me a I would think control engineering or control medicine. Either of those would probably apply. Though I'd
And
probably take a science too if someone wanted to argue it.
I would prefer science. Is that a
Sure.
sufficient argument?
I mean, yeah, because I think it fits.
Right. And what specifically is the role to represent? What are we trying?
As I understand it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Vanderveer, basically he's sending the psychic signal or quote attack, I guess, for lack of a better word, through a brain that is much more resistant to psychics than is typically average.
Okay. Would xenobiology be a focus?
100%.
Okay. I'm ready
And
to assist.
depending, actually, since you guys are kind of working in tandem, I'll definitely let you guys decide who does the main, who does the assist.
It's your sick bay, doctor. Go ahead.
Excellent.
Okay. I do realize I forgot to actually say difficulty, but I was going for two. Giving you guys three momentum and no complications this time around as doctor and commander as you guys sit down there and work in the lab and send this signal through the Ferengi brain. Well, a couple interesting things happen. The simulation reports that uh, while, yes, indeed, the Ferengi brain was was the psychic waves, as it were, or simulated psychic waves, were unable to pierce the four-lobed brain structure. The pain receptors still lit up like a Christmas tree.
Interesting. It seems to be perhaps adapted to attack the pain receptors on um, hominids.
While it does have a physiological pain response, it's also worth noting that it does have a secondary neurological response that's common amongst our species, but also not the Ferengi. So that does tell us that it can be affected. Knowing that the neurosynaptic relays are safe from it, we can spoof these waves out of our brains in that fashion. The second thing we have to do is figure out how to stop that pain response. Having experienced it, is the pain concentrated in neural connective tissue like the CNS, or is it the entire body that's attacked? The entire nervous system, auxiliary and peripheral as well.
Well, again, doctor, I think it might prove more informative if we were to get the medical records from my surgery, but from my own experience of it, it hurt my head.
And for the record, once again, the medical records I don't know, but I will hand wave and say the Gugner was able to send them because I can't, for the life of me, imagine them not sending them.
Right. And I, just from my recollection, I'm trying to remember the technobabble from last session. I think um, it was certainly a neurological hemorrhaging. I want to say frontal lobe. Um,
Yeah. Well, his point was just getting to whether or not it was the head that was hurt or if everything got screwed up.
right. And of course, I was unconscious, so we'd have to rely on the reports. But I do believe that the primary area that was damaged was the brain.
That is
The experience of
correct.
the pain, I think, was also in the head as well. So.
And just real quick, out of character, to Fox or Captain Ross, does that, I don't know if you guys either have experienced that, does that kind of track and
I
jive?
I avoided it. Ross got hit with half of it because of his connection to Sorrel.
Yeah, so it was kind of indirect. Not me directly, but through Sorrel.
All right. So then, yeah, why don't we say that the medical records say that the essentially the pain is all limited to the brain or to the head.
It should also be noted that Ross has also gotten hit with it through subspace communications.
Yes, we've had two.
Yeah, I guess that was a couple of games before, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when when we first encountered them, I think.
Yeah, when they were attacking the fleeing ship.
Right.
Alrighty. That I didn't know, but thankfully it doesn't conflict with what I understood of this anyway, so
Nothing to add to the
happy
canon there.
question. Well, I'm sorry. But yeah, doctors, it's uh relegated to the noggin.
Does that give you any further insight, Doctor?
I think so. The most common structures among our two hemispheres brains would probably be the anterior cingulate cortex. Also helps process pain signals.
So, it's an overloading of those receptors, would you say, rather than um,
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
passing too much current through a
a
conduit,
circuit that's not designed for it? Yes.
which causes other parts of the body to short down. You know, the brain. It's
That
basically your
suggests
control panel.
if we wanted to modify the psychic inhibitors, a capacitor might be a neural capacitor might be an approach. Particularly if we are hoping at some point to um, communicate as they do with them, as opposed to simply block their signals.
Rather than block their signals, we could just use a different type of hydroxylase.
To those of us who are not doctors.
Out the axions. Basically, just instead of letting it short out, we wrap it in something that's insular, like rubber.
Biological shield.
It'd be a simple fatty aromatic amino acid.
I think, as befits our expertise, I've come up with a technological response, and the doctor's come up with a biological one. That's quite appropriate.
And two plans work better than one, especially when they don't seem to conflict.
So what we'll do is we'll figure out which species have the greater efficacy for protection. Being that betazoids and Vulcans are more susceptible, they might need the more cybernetic approach, but we can run some tests in the meantime.
All right. Um, Fair enough. And as the two kind of hunker down and get to work, I know Kiana, Jill, and Desesh are going to the nest. I believe the captain's plurals are going to uh, New Anarthia. Um,
Yeah.
and Sorrel and Vanderveer are stuck in the lab. What about Mr. Fox? What do we want? We want the nest, or do we want the colony?
Another chance to punch the birds or colony things where he would. Either way, he's going to be standing there and looking pretty.
Well, that's fair. In which case, would you rather look pretty in sunlight or discrepancy?
Given the fact that he's the one that made sure that Sesh didn't get his brain completely fried, I think go there instead of the colony.
Discrepancy it is. You know what? What am I trying to say here? You can make it look better just from hopefully osmosis.
Also, if the same people, if we're dealing with the same Necrovians, they'd be a bit more wary of getting into arguments with me standing there.
No, that is certainly fair. Um, so I'm probably gonna. I've got one map to encompass both of these things, but I am probably gonna. Well, I should ask first, Captain or captains. Are either of you bringing anyone down with you?
Um, I mean, I'm fairly sure that they're not going to let the captain off the ship without security. So
Absolutely not.
So, bookkeeping for me, you get a threat for me having my hammer.
So I'm not gonna take the threat for that. You have it. It's, you know, yours. I don't usually. If it was a different situation, I probably would, but not for something like this.
she'll probably take yeah, she'll take a couple of security people with her. Probably what is it, Lieutenant Corvo? Um, and probably DeBow.
Fair. And I am sorry, Captain Rost. I have very limited selection of your Gugner people.
Yeah, I don't think I'll need to bring anybody else. We transported these people over from the Earth, so I think I don't think there was any security concerns then.
That's fair. And as the two of you beam down, you can see the set, or I should say, as the four of you beam down, two of which will stand also in the background, hopefully looking pretty. As the two of you can see a number of the colonists just or the Inerthians milling about, and you can see the standard Starfleet kind of quick makeshift structures just to get people housed before they can start building their own more permanent solution. Um, and as
Mm-hmm.
a number of them look to you as you beam in and coalesce into their world. You can see one of them rush into one of the larger structures, and as a couple moments later the door opens. Captain Ross, you can see the person that you've treated with previously.
And what are they doing?
At the moment, walking out and kind of looking and noticing you and walking towards you.
Well, I'll say hello. Good to see you again. Y'all getting settled in all right?
Uh, with just the almost the tiniest bit of shake in their voice, they say, "Well, a lot of my people are still having a tough time, but quite frankly, both the group sessions that the Nightingale's been running um, and the group teaching that the Gugner has engaged in, they've helped keep a lot of a lot of the refugees' minds active and off our with an almost shudder, they say, experience.
Well, yeah, we're doing what we can. I know this is going to be a tough transition from your home to a new place. There's still a lot to go to build up the settlement. We're going to do everything we can to help you out. So if there's anything that specifically you need or any problems, please let me know.
Um, almost, almost, uh, looking down, almost embarrassed. The person raises their head as they, uh, you see just the hint of tears in their eyes as they say, "What? Well, what I." If you ask me, what we need more than anything else is to move on. We're never gonna be able to go back to how it was, and uh, almost as if they're trying to convince themselves, they say, and this new reality is just 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 what it is. And I how do I tell my people this? She looks to both of you almost pleadingly.
Well, I think you can talk to your people and tell them that this is going to be a better place to live. I mean, I've been on an Earth for a couple of months during the evacuation, and I saw the strife.
Oh
Um,
no, we lost Rost.
And maybe we can avoid that here.
Ross, you cut out for most of that.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
You saw strife and then avoid that here.
Okay, yeah, I was on an Earth for a couple of months, and I saw all the conflict and strife, and maybe we can avoid that here in the new colony.
um, uh, as you know what? Why don't both of you give me a insight command? Difficulty 2.
So difficulty 1. Got it.
It's a perception, not an opposed. Does that change things?
Nope. It's a social role. It's listening. She is literally listening.
Oh, yes, that's correct. So, um, Ross D2, Morgana D1.
Thank you. Take a threat for third die.
Okay then. Um,
Yeah, that was happening. Uh,
Why did you complicate on a difficulty 1?
I don't know. I felt greedy. That's what I get. Uh, two
well,
momentum. Yeah.
are you sure?
Yeah, yeah. Because she actually knows what these people are going through, and this is not something she would take idly.
That's fair. And we'll say that actually, Morgana, you were a little distracted momentarily as she was, or as the leader was speaking, um, and as you kind of see in your peripherals, a just one of the younger civilians, almost have this contorted look of pain, but as it turns out, it's just the skin knee. Um, but you look back just in time to notice that um, as the leader kind of gives a little chuckle, and in response to the strife comment, they say, uh, "Well, I can only, well, truly hope those are prophetic words." You can both tell that that statement is completely hollow. She doesn't, they don't believe anything, any part of that.
Yeah, I think it might be a good idea if I talk to Starfleet and maybe some Federation colony representatives to see if we can.
You cut out again, so no point in wasting.
It's fine. He's still a little rattled from having his brain blasted.
Yeah, yeah. Shorts out every so often.
Actually, this is a problem even before he got blasted twice. Are you sure you fixed his brain right whenever he got hit?
I didn't fix his brain.
I think you should have.
Yeah, probably should have, but didn't.
I apologize, just checking in. Are we still waiting on roster? Did he
I
repeat himself and I missed it?
No, he
What
has.
was that?
You went quiet. You went quiet again. So your
Okay,
full thought did not get heard.
okay. Yeah, let me switch headsets. Maybe this one's getting weird.
Fair enough.
Well, as he's doing that, why don't we check in on what's happening a number of miles above their head as Desesh, Kiana, Jill from the Nightingale, and Fox from the Gugner all simultaneously burn beam into this nest, and once again you can see the kind of um, certainly by your standards, filth that kind of pervades this entire structure, and well, slightly clean by Klingon standards, but there the smell of rancid food is just permeates throughout as you see a number of these vulture creatures kind of huddling in the command center with a one of your cloned elks kind of in the corner, uh, dead and, well, half eaten.
Lieutenant. What are you doing here?
There's no security, sir.
From me?
It was a calculated maneuver, given what happened last time. And my presence might keep them
Calculated
from
by
hurting me
you?
again. Commander Sorrell, actually.
Very well.
Is this going to be an issue? Just looking at the sash.
Hopefully not. I proceed.
And as you do, and actually, Jill, um, as I probably should have realized this earlier, but as you beam in, you can feel this almost slight buzzing at the base of almost it feels like it's coming almost from the base of the back of your neck and kind of reverberating through your skull. And I'm not raising the complication range or anything like that, because it's really insignificant and it's not distracting, but you can notice it.
Yeah, so it's probably a little bit higher than what she's normally used to. And the others, after that quick exchange, they'll see the apparent Betazoid rub the back of her neck for a moment and turn on the psychic dampener, and then get a just look visibly relieved before straightening herself up again.
The psychic dampener doesn't relieve it all the way. It's it's now barely noticeable.
Fair enough, but it's still the same reaction.
Fair enough.
Do I have a name for the Necrovian delegation at this point?
Um, Gugner crew, am I making up a name?
They weren't given a name by author.
Alrighty.
The leader was just called the Elder. Well, the leader of the
Um,
delegation was called the Elder, while the other two were just called the younger members.
okay. Well, I'd say that you're in the last week, yeah, I'd say you've bridged a little bit. So, um,
Al-
we'll call.
Although, to be fair, we don't have a proper language for them, so it was simple concepts. So we might not have been able to convey names.
That's fair. So you know what? Let's go with elder and youngers. You know
Okay.
that one is the elder and two of them are younger. But the one
Mm-hmm.
that you do know as an elder, kind of walks up to you with a well, with the data pad, and you can see that they're starting to take their long talons and kind of type something into it.
All right. Have we been able to improve upon this process of communication in the last week, or has that not been possible?
Yes, you've definitely been able to improve upon it. How to do that mechanically, I'd say, is if we get into an issue where we're having a little bit of trouble with visual representations, we could probably make some sort of roll
Mhm.
uh, to kind of get the plain text version.
All right. Well, I am going to address the eldest and or elder, and and thank him for his hospitality. If I have to do it with the text, I will.
For that one, no. For that one, you know what? Actually,
Hopefully, I've picked up some basic like gestural, like know how to stand and whatnot to not, you know, offend at this point.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do, honestly, if this were just a regular Nightingale session, I probably would make us go through the pictographic representations, but since it's a crossover and I'm
We're
not
gonna
gonna,
speed it up.
yeah, I'm gonna speed it up,
All right,
and
fair
kind
enough.
of allow you the plain text conversation. And
Mhm.
in response um, to your thanks of hospitality, um, the elder replies essentially with, "Is is the stock almost ready?"
We are on the eve of concluding our business, Elder. The stock is on the planet below. We hope to regain our people and move from this uh, tense situation to one of mutual understanding. And I hope to speak to you next of the future.
Um, as you wait a couple moments for that to kind of filter through and for the translation to filter back, you can see, or it responds with, uh, you have replaced you've replaced um, our uh, sought after food with a different one. If you would be willing to part with even more, I may be able to ensure no further hostilities.
Elder, we know that your circumstance demands that you strike out to find the food that you need. We would seek to find you a circumstance where this is no longer required.
So that's an interesting question slash statement. Um, I'm actually gonna put the difficulty 3 here, but why don't you give me a presence command assisted by actually Lieutenant Fox, who would be, either using presence command or presence security.
I'm using presence command though. This is just straight up
Yes.
negotiation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Pulling up my character sheet that I have not acquired. Okay.
And because this is kind of a nebulous concept of an assist fox, I'm gonna say, let's see. Uh, I would say that you don't really have a focus per se, but given your past experience with them, I'm gonna say that you do have a focus.
Uh, I'm assuming my cultural familiarity is probably still working, or flexibility rather is still working, and
Yeah.
uh, is there momentum? Can I spend momentum?
You have one momentum right now,
I
and
will
the
spend
cultural
it.
flexibility that knocks the difficulty down one, right?
Yeah.
All right, so D2.
All right. And this is persuasion, so my focus applies.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Presence security from Fox.
Or presence command.
No, you don't want me rolling command.
I have to. But no,
But I
this is
also get
security.
to give you threat with security. And what is
Oh,
this for?
it's an assist. It's an assist.
Okay. Okay, so I can't do that then. What is this for?
Nebulous presence, kind of helping.
You're
Oh,
intimidating.
so I'm not just looking for danger, because then I would have constantly watching.
Oh yeah, no. This isn't scope. This is more. Is your presence kind of your just you being there is kind of
Okay.
giving the session.
Then can I use my focus hammer?
Sure. You do have the
That is
hammer present.
actual focus on my sheet.
No, I know. I looked at your sheet and I'm like, you know what? None of these focuses are perfect, but at the same time, he should have a focus in
If
this
I'm
just
just here
naturally.
to be don't fuck around, then yeah, hammer works.
Exactly.
No increase comp?
We'll say one more time. Oh, no,
No
no,
increase
no,
comp.
no,
Okay.
no. Excellent. So the two of you managed to gain 3 momentum, and I actually, as as you say that, you can see the elder kind of walk back suddenly, and you can see them start to, I guess, chirp or click rapidly with the other two, and none of it reaches fervor in which you've seen before. It doesn't appear to be an argument. And as the elder kind of walks over to the elk and dips their beak down and kind of rips off a piece of the carcass before coming back to you, Desesh. Uh, she hands you she hands you the pad and uh, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot we're doing the plain text. She says essentially that the the roost is starting to lighten. That her people, given this existence, are starting to branch out more and more, going for further and further to try to find these food sources, and that they're just, quite frankly, they can't. Their numbers are dwindling because of this. It's But I'm gonna say, as she tells you this, I am going to flip us back to the lab. Um, where we have our doctor and commander, both of which kind of have a singular idea with which to attack the problem. And uh, if I remember correctly, and please correct me otherwise, Commander Sorrell, your idea was kind of to boost the inhibitor that you already have, kind of
Yes,
or
to
relaunch it.
install a psychic capacitor. So, previously the inhibitor was sort of essentially designed to prevent psychic waves from being um, translated to the neurological system. This modification would allow um, the psychic um, um, field to penetrate the neurological pathways, but it would serve as a capacitor. It would essentially dial them down so that it doesn't trigger the pain receptors, and potentially, rather than essentially hearing this awful screeching in our brains, and we're overwhelmed with the pain and the psychic power, we may actually be able to understand what they're saying. That's the hope, anyway.
Interesting.
A psionic lightning rod.
Like, okay, that's pretty cool. And Vanderveers, your idea, I'll be honest, I didn't really understand, and I don't remember because I didn't understand it at all.
Using amino acids to insulate the neurons in the brain that register pain from this particular wave.
All right. So forgive my own layman's question, but conceptually, are you
Like putting an
basically
electrical wire on a wire. Like putting blah, 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 blah. I speak English. Like putting electrical tape on an electrical wire to insulate it.
excellent? Cool. That see with now that I can understand. So I guess my next question would be, are you guys gonna work on your project separately, or would you like to go one after the other working together?
Um, since I have some expertise in xenobiology, I can assist the doctor, and if you would like to assist on mine, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say working separately but assisting each other on this. Vanderveer is also the cybernetics hospital. Cybernetics hospital admin. So he's familiar with cybernetics enough to assist.
Cool.
Alrighty, fair enough. In which case, one of you get your techno babble ready, one of you get your medical terminology ready, because once we find out if it works or not, well, I think you guys are gonna have to tell all of us how it works, because once again, I think you've both just proven that you're way smarter than me. So, um, why don't we give at least for Vanderveers, I'm thinking, and I could be argued, reason or control with a medicine. And for Sorel, I would think control or reason once again with either engineering or science. And then for the assists, I'll essentially let you let you guys both kind of come up with uh, your own stats and disciplines as long as it makes sense. And let's say the difficulty for let's say I'm gonna go difficulty for Sorel's project is gonna be 3. Difficulty for Vanderveers is gonna be 4.
All right.
So you said difficulty what?
For
Yeah.
you, it's gonna be difficulty 4.
Oh, okay. Can I get 2 dice extra for 3 momentum? And cautious medicine, I'm going to re-roll that 0. Yeah.
All right. Oh, look at that. Well, you got back all the momentum that you spent, so that's what's up. As you succeed, and before we get to the result of that, let's see about Sorel's tandem project.
All right.
Well, he's got
Oh,
his assist in there too, so that's another 2.
Okay. No, no, I know.
yeah.
That gained you back the 30. You definitely succeeded. I am
Yeah.
getting the rolls out of the way before you guys can talk about it.
Okay, sorry.
I would like to give you a threat for the third die.
I'll take it.
I don't feel like I have an applicable focus, so I'm just going to go with what I've got here. Ooh. That is well, let's do the reroll, and then we'll talk about it. With bold.
And there's still definitely an assist on the table.
And a complication. Okay, so
Welcome to my world, Commander.
I'm going to
At
use
least you used it right this time.
I'm going to use my. If it's okay to use it in a crossover game, I'm going to use my determination.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And oh yeah, I'm sorry, you were absent for that. Reputation wise, your system works exactly as it usually does. Author's gonna watch the episode and determine your dice.
Okay, great. Um, I'm going to use every
But
problem has a solution as my value for that.
that is certainly fair. Before you do,
Okay.
though, I am gonna say that you did with the assist, you did hit the difficulty.
Okay.
Uh, but you're still more than welcome to do it, to use it.
Well, I've got a complication on the board, and I would rather not. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Fair.
And roll those 2 zeros. There we
Okay then. You guys so let's see here. For that one, you gain another 2 momentum, capping you guys. Good job. Frankly, I feel like this should have feels like the momentum level is where it should be at the beginning of the project, not the end. But hey, um, as the both of you kind of working, um, as the both of you kind of working in tandem yet, or separately yet together, kind of take these separate avenues. Um, Vanderveer on your end as you're kind of as you're starting to look into the actual structure of the brain, seeing what you can actually insulate and finding the area, but having a little trouble finding an actual material compound that would be acceptable. Maybe Sorrel kind of leans over and um, puts you on a path that you didn't quite know about, and uh, just after he does, you're able to hit this breakthrough. And conversely, Sorrel, you're definitely able to get the programming down, but kind of the area where you're faltering slightly would be the actual connection to the um, neurological part of the subject, where Vanderveer's kind of comes in and does the same thing that you do, just on the biological side. And as the both of you kind of manage to coincidentally kind of ding your projects at the same time, both of you kind of look up just to see each other.
Fascinating. I believe I believe eureka is the word that is used traditionally. I think this psychic capacitor will work. And Doctor, I think you have had a success as well.
It does look pretty good. Now, with your cybernetic implant there, we do want to make sure that as a transponder, it is passive so it doesn't get caught up in any sort of electrical or adverse field, which shouldn't be a problem. It doesn't really need to do much other than absorb these waves.
Correct. It would fit almost like a headband um, um, over a person, and as the waves come in, it essentially those waves will be translated into the headband and then transmitted through at a much lower um, frequency and strength to the brain of the wearer, thus reducing substantially the psychic blast, as it were.
Interesting accessory. If you did want to, though, you could probably miniaturize it down to around the size of 3 or 4 grains of rice and embed it behind the ear.
Certainly, future iterations would look to miniaturize, um, but on this on the beta version here, it's a headband.
Hey, make do with what you got.
And actually, um, now that the two of you have managed to make this discovery? Well, I guess the question is going to tell anyone or classify it.
I mean, I would certainly report to Captain Rost that unless
I've got some medical reports to file on it.
Yeah.
I'm not keeping anything secret.
yeah.
No, sorry, I was joking.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Vulcans and jokes, you know.
Hey, there's always the exception that proves the rule.
Definitely get a raised eyebrow.
I mean, I mean, at some point, I got a Vulcan to go, Yeah, he mind melded with my captain, who is an Orion. So he was acting like her for a little bit, and he just,
I can, my Vulcan can relate to that particular predicament.
Indeed, and that seems like a good time to check back on the captains as they are when last we were the leader had just kind of chuckled and ironically at Captain Ross' statement about avoiding strife and as you know what, just since the real captain kind of dropped during that last statement, I'm gonna say as Captain Ross is starting to respond, his communicator he goes off from Commander Sorrell.
Go ahead, Commander.
Captain, I wish to report that that the doctor and I have had significant breakthroughs, both on a biological solution to the physiological impact of the psychic blast, as well as a technological solution that I hope might prove useful in communicating with the Necrovians on at their own level, as it were. I have developed a psychic capacitor based on the psychic inhibitors that we have on the Gungnir, and the Doctor has um, uh, created um, a biological marker that is going to, or at least potentially, inhibit, or at least I think he described it as insulating the pain receptors of a humanoid that receives or is exposed to these psychic waves.
of
That's
course
great
he's
news, especially about the communications part.
she Nira's just kind of chuckling to herself, and she just says, of course he said it like that.
How else would he say it?
Well, the first time he developed a solution for something, he attributed it to Tefloning the DNA.
There you go. The Doctor does have a way with words.
Quite.
Thank you for your report, Commander. That's great news.
Um,
Hope we can get that into production before we head to the nest.
Absolutely, Captain. I'm working with the replicator as we speak.
Oh, yeah. Nira's pretty much just trying to take everything in and is looking around. Because I mean, in a lot of ways, these people have something her people don't. So she actually thinks they probably should just consider themselves lucky. But she's not going
Oh,
to say it. She's thinking that, but she's not going to say it.
you know what? Why don't? In which case, why don't you give me an insight command. Let's go difficulty one, but I'm gonna say because of your uh, what's confessed little bout of sadness, I'm gonna put the comp range at 2.
It's actually jealousy.
I was giving you the benefit of the doubt and being polite.
Oh no, she is being a 250-year-old petty bitch. Um,
Fair.
I guess take a threat. And here we go. And I'll squash the other one.
Fair enough. Well, you do have 2 bonus momentum, so I'm just not gonna add it. And as you as you look around, you can see that yes, there's a number of people that are, well, just openly agitated. And the both doctor and counselor and you kind of um, realizes that for most of them, it was simply the kind of ordeal that they just went through. But a few of them you can kind of notice, in addition to that, to their own kind of traumatic look. A few of them are kind of a few of them are kind of looking almost with an opportunistic gleam in their eye.
Mm-hmm. Uh, yeah, like people that are gonna take advantage of a bad situation. Kind
That
of
would be
glares.
fair. Um,
Yeah.
that'd be fair.
Okay. Um, I mean, as long as they're on the planet, I guess she'll have the security uh keep an eye out. Other than that, she'll look at she'll kind of look around and then look at Rost and say, the depths of depravity sometimes makes me sick. She says, pointing out a few of the people that just look like opportunistic pigs.
Well, unfortunately, there's people like that in every society.
She nods. That's quite true. Still, you'd figure. Oh well. Well,
I think it's one
Uh,
thing that we need to do is to work with the Federation reps and Starfleet is to see if we can get this colony organized so there's no of the old divisions from an Earth here. Back there, they had 20 something different kingdoms that were all fighting with each other for various reasons and conflict between the psionics and the non-psionics.
I couldn't agree with you more. The leader kind of uh, stepping back in manages to say, but it doesn't seem like a very likely prospect.
for what? Starfleet to come out here, or for the unity of the people?
Um, looking almost a little ashamed, they say the unity of the people.
She. Hmm. Well, I mean, that's gonna take time, she says, but I'm sure we can get somebody out here, she says.
I think it's going to take dedication with people like you to make this happen too. We can't just impose our will, but leaders like you will have to push this idea forward.
It is
Uh,
true.
Smiling, ironically, she says, "You mean leaders like me must impose our will?" She says with a chuckle.
Hmm,
Well, that's what leadership is. Everybody to
well, she says, imposing your will is the wrong way to look at it, she says. Don't impose, she says. You need to explain why agreeing with you is for the betterment of the people. Don't say we're going to do this or, and that's final. That never works out, she says. People get an attitude where, you know, a rebellious attitude, she says. The thing is to relay the truth and information and hope people are smart enough to decide, more or less.
Um, After listening to Morgana, she, as Morgana's talking, the kind of levity from her earlier comment wipes away a little bit as she looks to you, Rost, and says, "It what?" And since the two of you obviously seem to know how to do this, what what do you do when you just get too tired to continue when it gets too hard?
get help. You get friends. You get your subordinates. They're all there to make whatever mission you're on a success.
Nero will nod. It
And
is crucial to have people you trust to work with you.
and I'm sorry, that's just the perfect line to flip us back up to the nest. Both of those statements are the both perfect. Um, so back up at the nest, Disesh, Jill, Kiana, and Fox. You've all essentially just heard and found out that yeah, in addition to their food scarcity, or not so much anymore, thanks to you guys for, well, a little bit, um, they're uh, dwindling. They're starting to stagnate, and um, that's never a good sign.
Oh no, everybody's muted.
Oh no, everybody who is actually going to be able to be nice about this situation is muted.
Okay, sorry. I would like to just sort of uh, excuse myself for a moment from the elder and just confer with my people quickly, uh, and just go back to Lawson and Harkuri and just sort of get their input on what's happened thus far.
Yeah, and the elder at this point, is, without even kind of responding to that, they kind of just head back to the elk carcass and the two youngers join them, and you're able to kind of huddle up, only to hear just the tiniest bit of kind of smacking of vultures eating.
Oh no, we lost a Lawson.
Did we?
There's a
We
Lawson.
have gained
There,
a loss.
there we go.
Now?
Not, I mean, kinda, but not really.
How about now?
Yep, there you go.
There we go. So it's as we suspected. They seem to be in a particularly desperate situation. They're offering to negotiate, but well, I'm going to re-engage, but I wanted to get your inputs first.
Well, what if we could teach them how to raise the elk and care for them? Would that possibly draw them back to their nest?
My orders from the captain are to dangle the possibility of finding them somewhere to thrive. That's sort of my intent to engage. And yes, I'm intending to use the. I'm going to be bringing up the possibility of animal husbandry, but we're at the moment we don't have any. We don't have anything to directly offer them, do we? I mean, I don't want to move without the Unearthians' consent when it comes to the immediate region. Can we put people on finding if there's anything in a nearby sector?
Jill will look to Fox. Oh, the gun has been here longer.
And can't understand you.
Yeah, you're really
Yeah, you
really
were.
faint all of a sudden.
Stand by.
Arcuri?
Yes,
I
we
just,
could go on.
no, I just wanted to know if you had something to say.
Yeah, we can do some looking around, and if they agree to it, that would be great. We can teach them how to raise them, and they can hopefully strive again.
Yeah,
And
that's my thought as well.
How about now?
good.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe would look to Fox and just say the Gungunner has been around for this area for much longer. Is there any locations that may stand out in your mind, or
Our
places that may exist in your records?
our primary goal, our primary mission was to escort the evacuation fleet from the DS-17 to the Intersecting homeworld, and then to the colony world. We were not surveying the location, as far as I know.
Understood.
All right. Well,
I think that was endurance, wasn't it?
The expedition was the one that was scouting the area more than us.
Expedition. That was it.
well, all right. So we don't have any immediate options. I'm gonna re-engage and see how they feel about this.
Before you do, actually, just because it might it might mean whether or not I ask Fox for a role. But do any of the players know what? Because I wasn't part of it. Do any of the players know what actually happened to their home world? Is it still there?
We have no idea.
A
They
nurse?
spoke of it in the past tense.
They really
it's-
haven't said anything one way or the other with their home world.
Okay.
We're not talking about the Unearthings. We're talking about the Necrovians at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No. I'm sorry. I'm talking about the Unearthians.
Oh, the Unearthians. That was the Evan Expanse. Their homeworld was tectonically unstable.
Okay.
It's still there, but it's still messed up.
Mm-hmm. It's not going to be inhabitable for very long.
Okay, fair enough. In which case, never mind.
Yeah, I think we went from months to years though since they stopped the.
6 years. Yeah, we went from
Yeah,
barely 6 months to 6 years.
yeah, we went from only being able to evacuate 3% of the population to being able to evacuate all of them.
over time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. In which case, yeah, a random idea I had wouldn't work anyway, so never mind. Go ahead, Dinesh.
All right. I go back to uh, the elder and I say, well, for actually, where are we on the repatriation of the hostages? Because I would very much like to resolve that situation before I move into the future and to be unburdened by that. So, like, are we at the point where we can finalize the repatriation of the Federation hostages?
One way to find out.
I would like to ask them. Uh, can
Um,
I tell? Can I like really tell them that all the elk are down on the planet now? Though, is that
uh,
true?
for the most part, yes. Certainly, I would say enough to that it's an obvious show of good faith.
And see them there now. Yes. Okay.
Uh, yeah, and as you inquire to the hostages, they uh the elder comes back and actually um kind of before responding starts just kind of stands there for a pretty decent amount of time and her response is yes, but we'll die without them.
We have provided in good faith uh, food that replaces our people. This is an end to that deal and the beginning of the possibility of new actions made in good faith. Can we find our way to that place?
Um, give me a presence command. Um, so a deal. This I'll be open about it. This isn't about the hostages part of it. A deal is a deal, and they are gonna stick to that. It's more about you're trying to build that next step of that avenue.
All right.
Be
So this isn't about securing, because I'd probably spend a value if this was pivotal on getting our people home, because that's my like first priority. Uh, but if I'm going to need that for like the new age that is to follow after, then like I'm not going to blow that on something that seems like a sure deal right now. Is that what you're saying?
what I'm saying is, this is more about are they gonna give you the hostages, take the elk, and just simply take off? Or are they going to essentially um, allow the possibility of you kind of, or not you,
Helping.
but you, the Federation, kind of helping them and perhaps taking some of them off of being a nuisance in the sector of space.
Okay, because I have like a whole monologue that I'm planning to do after the hostages are secured. Is this
Then,
is this my Kirk moment, or should I wait?
well, just because I like monologues and I'm impatient, let's say, for the hostages, this is your Kirk moment.
No. Okay.
As the elder looks undecided.
You must understand, ours is a way of peace. This there is a saying amongst the peoples of the Federation: give a man an elk, and you feed him for a day. Teach them to hunt, and you feed them forever. The Inerthians were in danger, and we aided them in finding a place that they might be safe and thrive. If you're sincere in your willingness to find sources of food that are not us, then we will help you in that. This is not a bargain. Our bargain will end today, unless you require that it be. That's not our way. We are of the Federation. We want to help you thrive, so long as all speaking peoples remain safe, and so long as you are prepared to honor the peace that we seek to share with you. That is the way of my people. And we have taken steps to understand the place that you have come from. Please understand the place that we come from as well. We want to help you. We want to find a place for you.
I think that's pretty damn good, and I think the elder might think so too. So, well, quite frankly, I'm still gonna ask you for that presence command roll, but I'm gonna bring the difficulty down to 0.
All right. How? Like, I still want to spend my value because, damn. So, how a civilization treats its most in need was what was the one I was kind of playing to there, uh, and uh, and I would like to roll my presence command.
I am definitely okay with all of this,
Okay.
and with the focus too,
Hmm.
because that was pretty persuasive.
All right. Here we go. How much momentum is there in the
6.
pool right now? All right, I'm just going to spend it all because I'm going to get it all back. And here we go.
Famous last words.
Yeah, yeah.
I probably shouldn't have messed with the momentum until after the roll. But that's a total of 7 successes. Gaining you, yes, all your momentum back. Uh, and, well, giving you a bonus one.
Mhm. So, yeah, I want them to agree to let us help them.
Uh, as, as you, as you hear the kind of clicks going back and forth, and Joe, even with the inhibitor, you can feel that barely noticeable nothingness kind of uh, start to just start to raise just ever so slightly. Um, and as long moments go by, the elder turns back to you and simply essentially says, what what do we do next?
Allow us time to bring you options. You have a food supply here. This provides, I hope, the faith to give us time to find an option for you, a place where you can find abundant food and find a place to thrive again.
And as the elder responds and says, and we can wait here. Um, before you respond to that one, seems like a good time to go back down quickly to New Anarchia. Uh, as oh, and uh, yeah, as captains, You can see your security officers fanning out a little bit to kind of keep an eye out. Just kind of using their presence just as kind of beacons to make sure everyone stays in line. Um, and as the leader looks to you two, they they kind of uh echo the same statement that was said above. So what's what's next? How do we apply for this help?
Well, she looks back at Rost. Um, well, I can get a hold of Starfleet Command. Perhaps I can get a colonial specialist out here.
We
That's
have colonial specialists, like the captain said, plus diplomats and
Um, kind of glancing over her shoulder, and she says, "How soon can they get here?"
we'll have
uh
to see. Go ahead.
no, she just says, well, like I said, we'll have to see, but once they get started, it shouldn't be more than a few weeks.
And um, she says, even that might, quite frankly, not be soon enough. If my people are pretty stubborn, and our ways have been our ways for quite some time.
She nods and she'll say, the Federation have dealt with, have helped headstrong people before. And she'll basically, you know, do the old person thing where they just go into a diatribe about something, except hers is like, Tellar joining the Federation, you know, the fact that all of them were argumentative, all of them were, for lack of a better word, assholes. Like, but she doesn't use those words, but she explains Tellarites to kind of ease her a bit.
Yes, assholes, but diplomatic.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. Um, uh, that's that's fair. And as I just have to do it. She looks to the both of you and says, "You won't send any Tellarites, will you? I don't think that will go over too well here."
She says, I'm sure they won't, but the thing you have to realize about Tellarites is the reason they argue is to make sure that you are, one, sure about what you're saying, and two, that all the facts are given and every line is looked at.
Hmm.
Plus, I don't think there's a lot of Tellarites in the diplomatic corps.
Not particularly. They prefer engineering, usually.
Oh, nodding. She says, "Then I suppose I must. All I can do is wait and hope for the best. And I don't suppose one of your ships, or well, both of them, could stick around until they get here. Uh, do you?"
Well, it depends on what our orders are. We do have to follow the orders given down by our admirals, but we'll certainly make sure that your request is passed up and given, our weight of influence against it for it.
Um, Nodding, she says, "Is if um is is there any time frame that I should be aware of with which you might be gone? And are is did sh- looking a little bashful, she says, I'm sorry I didn't inquire to this earlier, but did you manage to receive your people?"
We're working on it. But yes, we're working on it. She says.
We've got a big delivery to make, and hopefully we'll have good news on the other end.
She
Uh,
nods.
and the leader says, is there anything uh that, well, quite frankly, I don't think most of us would be willing to help settle that dispute, but if there's anything I can do,
We certainly appreciate the offer.
we owe you our lives.
All part of the service.
Well, uh, maybe for you, she says. However, for me and, well, frankly, all my people moving forward, it represents everything. And I, she just kind of looks at you a little, just almost confused by the difference in perspective.
Well, maybe this will give your people a new perspective on things. It's a huge change, new system, new ways of doing things. Um, so maybe that will change them as well, the experience.
With an almost involuntary shudder that passes quickly. Um, she says, even quite frankly, for the ordeal that they put us through, I hope very much that they do change. If for no other reason than, well, perhaps the next Anarthians won't have to feel their malice.
The Nira will nod. She'll look at Rost and say, "Will you be sticking around on the surface for a while? If you are, I can leave my security with you."
No, I think I probably need to get back up there and check on our progress.
She nods, and I have a couple calls to make. And I'll go ahead and spend 2 momentum for when she gets back up. She's going to burn one of her old admiral favors to get somebody over here to help them.
Okay. Uh,
Probably an
yeah.
old Vulcan.
I am I am okay with this. Uh, yeah, done. And Ross, are you're probably going back to the Gugner, I'd assume, or
Yes.
okay, that's fair. And as the two of you kind of beam up, both to your respective ships, Nira to go kind of hammer a poor Vulcan, and Ross to kind of get a status update. Let's also beam up and get the status update ourselves as Disesh. As as I believe the last question asked of you was, do we, can we stay here while you figure this out, or
You may.
more, where do we go?
We ask that you remain here, but we ask in turn that unless something changes, if you would, if the time comes that we must leave, we would ask that you accompany us. We will see to it that at least your people on this ship will not want. And in the time that we are determining what the future will hold.
That's a big ask. Um. Uh. Well, you've done pretty well already. So, and well, quite frankly, I'm getting a little worried about time. So, as the as the as the vulture takes a long moment, uh,
Can I
she
take a
kind
moment?
of.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask if I could take a moment to contact the captain because I kind of want to, and maybe get the hostages sent over because I really want that resolved.
Uh, yeah, absolutely. I'm actually gonna say that you, just before Rost and Morgana beam up is when you make that call, so both
Mhm,
of them are able to hear.
mhm. Okay. So, Disesh to Nightingale, prepare to receive the hostages. Uh, our nightmare is over. And
Well,
I wait for that to uh, complete. Uh,
very good, Commander. It's we're finishing up down here and heading back up. So we will meet our guests when, or I will meet our guests when I get there.
the the Necrovians have given us some freedom to propose an alternate future for them. So we need to figure out what that's going to be. I will
Okay,
meet you. I will meet you on the Nightingale.
very well. It says. And yeah,
All right. I give my regards uh, to the elder and uh, let was it a her? I think you used a
The closest one.
yeah. I tell her that I will be communicating to her again shortly. I must speak to my captain and thank them again. We have
And that
sorry. We have moved from a place of hostility to a new future, and I, for one, am excited at the prospect of it.
You know, and I mean, if the GM has to apologize, but uh, the response that you get back is, well, quite frankly, a little underwhelming. It's
Oh no,
simply it, it's simply we will do as you ask.
mhm. Yeah, I didn't really expect a huge cheer from them. They're the ones that are starving. Of course, I can be I can be excited. I have the luxury, but I'm going to go and talk to my people.
Um,
So we're going to beam back over. I look to Fox and I just say, "I'm sure you can find your way back to your ship."
Of course, sir. Taps on his comm badge and says one to beam up.
Uh,
um, and just to speed things up a little bit, I'm gonna say that while you guys definitely had that conversation, I'm gonna move up the clock just a couple hours, and well, because I don't have any Gugner internal maps, we're gonna be on the Nightingale, but I think that the discussion, at least that you intend to have, is a little bit broader than just you and the captain. So I'm bringing us to dinner on the Nightingale, where oh, hold on, I forgot about something. Oh, you know what? Screw it. I don't care. This was the map that I was gonna use when you guys were on your way to 17. You guys are almost there anyways. I'm still gonna use it.
I think I got whiplash from how quick you did that.
Sorry.
He does that.
I'm gonna say it's dinner time aboard the Nightingale. The the hostages have been returned. The captains have gotten their respective reports. Everyone kind of knows the situation. The vultures are ready and kind of, well, almost willing to accept help. The Inerthians actively want that help. Um, and yeah.
Yep. Uh yeah. Currently Nira's like feeding Ari like a piece of bacon or something, piece of roast beef.
Who's the other? Is Ross the only telepath in the room?
No. Obviously, as a Vulcan, also a telepath.
Yeah, I
In
wasn't sure
terms
if it
of
was like.
he gets surface thoughts, I believe it's only Rost.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
Although we're psychic
Okay.
brothers, you know.
Yeah, so
You are not
technically
the
you
only.
also get it.
All right.
You,
Well, I'm gonna say anytime anybody regards Jill, it's not that you can't read the thoughts. It's very muddy. You have to actually put effort into picking through what they're thinking. It's not like so many thoughts going around. It's just muddy.
Mm-hmm. And what the her favor will be here in like a few weeks, more or less, just for clarification.
Yeah, about basically they'll send you got them to leave tomorrow, so we're looking at about 2.5 weeks of travel time, but they're essentially en route.
All right. She'll take. Well, uh, after calling in a couple of favors, our colonial team, as it were, will be here in about couple weeks. She says 2.5, give or take.
Um,
Have we been able to find a suitable place for the Necrovians? Are like is
I've
that
I've had astrometrics working on it. Unfortunately, our sensors aren't quite as. If I remember correctly, the Gungnir has high advanced sensors, doesn't
We
it?
do. Yep.
Yeah, she'll admit that their sensors aren't quite as powerful as the Gungnir's.
well? If they can be assisting, that would be great.
It's Sorrel. Sorrel hears that, and he does have excellent hearing. Slight upturn of his mouth and almost a grin, but not really.
Well, if you remember, when Sorrel joined the Gungnir, his shuttle, he was on the shuttle with her.
Oh, I remember it quite well. Yes.
Yeah,
Our harrowing trip to the Gugnir. Yes.
yeah. So if Captain Ross and the commander would allow us use of their astrometrics lab, I'm sure we could find a suitable planet within a sector or two.
I think we can accommodate that.
She nods.
Provided shouldn't be too difficult, provided we do have options in the immediate area.
Well, other than the planet that's below us, which I don't think is a very good idea, and I'm fairly sure Captain Ross would agree with me. That's just inviting a fight.
No, of course not. It would make sense to keep them separated.
I wouldn't want them to fall back in any old habits for food sources.
She nods. If I remember correctly, we did write into the genetic code that they could reproduce. If we could find them an actual planet to farm these creatures, I don't see why they would ever run out of food again. Unless they just completely obliterate the atmosphere.
I think if they can be taught how to sustainably raise them, I think that's highly possible.
The question I don't think we've adequately addressed at this point is, we've approached it very much from our standpoint, which was the Necrovians require certain biological minimums for their sustenance, but I don't know that we have thought very much in terms of their sociological preference for how they obtain food. One that seems to have been established or developed over perhaps eons of evolution. Whether or not they will find the provision of food without hunt acceptable, I think, is an open question.
Oh,
Well,
As the person who's been negotiating with them directly, they've only seemed enthusiastic at the prospect of having some sort of sustainable food source provided to them. I don't think that. Well, we've recently interacted with the Hirogen, and they seem to have a very deeply embedded hunting culture. I haven't got that sense from the Necrovians. They are legitimately interested in the prospect of having a sustainable food source, as far as I can tell.
Well, that would be very welcome news.
Yeah, by the way, Sorrel has his leg being, like his pant leg being like tugged on by a little Shiba Inu puppy.
He'll give it a nice little ruffle of the ears.
Yee. and she'll wag her tail and run back to her mom.
Well, I thought that was going to go in a different direction.
No, she is actually very well trained. But
The husky in the corner has just been listening intently and hasn't made any move to try and get food.
Yep. And then she'll put her down and the puppy will go jump on the husky.
Play.
She'll say, I don't. You're right. It is an open question. But if you judge a people by their circumstances like that, then, well, every Elorian should be a gypsy. We wander the galaxy more than most. She says, and I mean, most of us would give anything for our own homeworld again. I mean, you're right, it's a coin toss, but like the commander said, they seem to be willing to find a place to settle where they can get a sustainable food source.
Indeed, and
Well,
I welcome that news, but as an XO, it is my job to raise possibilities.
it's also fair just to simply ask, if they're willing to settle in a place and adapt to a new way of living.
I don't think we'll find a fully honest answer until they have a prospect. I think we need to put a planet in front of them and find out whether it is possible for them to make this leap of faith with us. We
Possibly,
need to know
but
what we're
their
offering.
their situation was also very dire. You may not have seen it, but that ship that they're on, that conglomeration of pieces, it has to be very difficult to keep operating. And the
This
place that they're on itself is very much of an enticement to move on.
this may well be their last trip. I think we need to prepare them for that, and I think that they are prepared for that. They recognize that they are in the twilight of their civilization, and I think that we can offer that our offer and olive branch will be welcome if we can just give them a place. We need to find their promised land.
I think we're already on the road to that. It's no longer hoping they'll take it. It's just a matter of presenting that and, yeah, showing them, finding a place, obviously, and then show it. It seems like all we need to do is show it to them.
Yeah, the captain will hit her comm badge and basically get whoever's in the astrometrics lab to coordinate with the Gugnir to find the Necrobians a planet while they're in here talking.
That's fair. That uh, probably on the Gugnir's side of the people present would be a Sorrel thing, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I would.
Um, and I'm not going to take you out of the scene or anything. I'm
Right.
just going to
Yeah.
have you stand in for the.
I would even go so far as burning 2 momentum to have access to the expeditions logs, since they're the ones that surveyed the area.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
That is true.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good with that. It's 2 moment. I was gonna put. So what I was gonna do, I'll be honest, I was gonna have both of you, Sorrel, and then probably either Jill or Kiana, depending on to act as the Nightingale person. Both make your own separate task roles, add the successes together. I was
Well,
gonna put
Sorrel always
the
loves rolling astrophysics.
Mhm.
I
If
was gonna put the difficulty at 7. I'll put the difficulty at 5. No, no,
Okay.
this is for both of you rolling together cumulatively,
Separately.
not
Okay.
each.
Do we each get a ship roll too?
Yeah, that's fair.
So just to be
Sorry.
so just to be clear, Sorrel isn't actually leaving the room, though.
No, he's not. He's
Okay.
just kind of standing in for the Gugner.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's basically the two science teams working in conjunction
Right.
while Sorel is here with us.
Yeah.
But also a little like out of character little side objective for Nira is uh if she can get to any of the ships that have pieces of the expedition, she just kind of wants to get the pieces. See how much of it she can actually get back to the Federation of the Sovereign class as like a side objective.
So I'm gonna say tentatively maybe because I'm gonna have to confer with Arthur and find out which ship the nest is leaving with. If it's leaving with us, we can, or the night. Sorry, if it's leaving with the Nightingale, we can kind of. I'll honor that side objective and we'll turn it into an actual thing. If it's leaving with the Gugner, then I don't want to make promises I can't keep.
No, that's fine. That's just like a mini thing in her head is, you know, maybe she can, get some of the ship back.
I didn't even
It
realize
leaves
that they
with us not
incorporated.
getting any of the ship back.
Yeah, any captain should have been trying to. I didn't even.
I was under the impression it had been utterly destroyed, but
Yeah, and that's
No, because I remember one of the episodes. It's he mentioned that there on one of the ships was a nacelle and a piece of paneling that looked very familiar, like maybe it came off of a sovereign class.
oh,
So
That,
yeah,
that
Matt,
could
when we
just
looked
be
at
a
the
random piece of destroyed sovereign. It doesn't necessarily mean
agreed.
it is.
So yeah, this is a situation where I can't speak with authority because not only none of this starts or involves me, so I need my own clarification. But like I said, if the nest leaves with the Nightingale, I will get the clarification and certainly look in on that. If it leaves with the Gugner, then I really don't.
no, that's
Uh,
fine.
I think in that case, in as well, it's not just author that would have to get involved in that. It would also be the GM for the expedition to say how much of the ship actually survived.
yes. So there's a whole bunch of maybe on the table here.
all right, to be
Okay.
continued on that. So, I guess I can start with the roll. I'm going to give you a threat, GM, using astrophysics as my focus. And here we go. And
Alrighty,
is
and
the
the
Gungnir? Do we have the Gungnir here?
It's in
we
our
do.
section.
Ross,
Right above
you
Ross.
usually roll our Gungnir rolls.
Okay. Hang on one sec.
Yeah, I'll wait for the gun get a result before I roll our side.
Uh, what does it remind me? It's sensor science, I believe.
I would
Yeah.
believe so.
Sounds right.
That does sound right.
Standard complication.
Yep. Gungnir coming through.
Okay then. Indeed. Now, come on, Joe. Let's don't leave me hanging here.
All right. Let's see. Take momentum and 2 threat.
That'll do it.
Okay then. Uh, giving you a
Okay, there we go. First reroll was for bold. The second reroll on the Nightingale was for technical expertise.
That's good. I forgot to do my reroll, so good. Glad you remembered.
Oh, we can do it.
Okay,
It's
let
yeah.
me go ahead and do that then. That's like, oh yeah, I took an extra. I gave you that threat so I could reroll.
I am perfectly fine with you. Okay,
He,
excellent.
he does one of two things. He either forgets to do the
I either
reroll
forget
or
or
he
I'll.
uses the reroll for something that isn't science.
So many times have I tried.
He's been doing it
Well,
since the Christmas episode.
excellent.
I've gotten
Luckily, I'm
better.
pretty lenient.
I've gotten better.
Oh, okay, so first things first, you definitely passed, and you got 2 bonus momentum, but, I'm gonna ask if you guys wanna use the bonus momentum before I actually give the results, but you definitely found planets.
I guess we to create an advantage to select an optimum planet for their particular physiological and the fact that they're an avian race. So not just suitable, but optimum.
Planet
Excellent.
with more sun cover and a lower gravity would be
Yeah.
what they would need.
They need large fauna too.
Okay, and as the 2 respective teams, as this kind of meeting is going on, the 2 respective teams start working in the background on each ship, and both Sorel and Lawson, a few minutes later, end up getting getting a report on their pads, and as they start scrolling through it, I'm just gonna say they both kind of notice each other and compare notes, as it were, and there's both teams have found a number of areas to explore, and well, quite frankly, 2 of them appear to be chosen by both the Nightingale and the Gugner. Um, the first one, it's in a region of space not wholly far from Azuria and where the Nightingale has been. And the second one is more on the opposite side of Deep Space 17, which is much closer to where the Gugner's been operating out of.
Excellent. So we can compare notes.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll text my team a well done.
Yeah, same thing. We'll start getting things together. And well, Azure, yeah, a location near Azuria is not a bad one. Is the proximity to the neighbors. The Azurians seem to be very defensive. At If the two were to meet, it could end badly really quickly for both sides.
No, it's LV223 or LV226. That's what it was.
We want to throw it to the Nightingale and have them deal with the defensive neighbors, or give it to us and
We've
have
got
question
Gunner
mark, question mark, question
space.
mark.
Well, yeah. Is an Earth in our sector? Or I'm trying to think back
Yes.
to that map.
The Nightingale is very far from operating area at the moment. Out of character, essentially, it means if it kind of goes with the Nightingale, it kind of leaves this general area of space. If it stays with the Gunyear, it kind of stays within this general area.
I got you. Well,
Mm-hmm.
of course, the Necrovians invaded Unearth and took tens of thousands of hostages. So they're not too fond of the Necrovians either. So there may be interstellar political complications with whichever choice we make.
Very true.
The only issue is the only saving grace is one of us is actually equipped to handle it, which is sad that it's the medical ship. Like if they get into a fight, yeah, we're screwed. But political things, that is Tisesh's thing.
Well, it also can be said, if we did bring them near the Azurians are well capable of defending themselves if the Necrovians decide to branch out again. So
That
it
is
may be
true.
a safer alternative.
That is very true.
So let's look at that angle. Say that they do get settled and they make the decision to branch out again. Would they become more of a threat in this area of space? Or would it be better to have natural containment in the other area of space?
Are the Avarians a psychic species?
The Azurians, um, sort of. They seem to have a the information we received from them is that they have a sort of neural sensitivity, but at the same time, they approached everything with a certain militaristic stance. Uh, Very quick to defend themselves, and their ships seem to be fairly armored.
So on the one hand, of course, I'm not familiar with their status. Are there prime directive issues with respect to the Azurians?
No.
No, they are a warp capable species.
Okay. Even as a warp capable species, however, if they have militaristic tendencies, the where my thought process is going is whichever direction we go, we could provide the doctor solution and the psychic capacitors to those sort of primary bulwarks as a way to sort of enhance their capacity to contain the Necrovians. But if they Azurians are imperialistic themselves, then there may be some ethical and strategic questions with providing them that kind of resource.
They.
Uh,
Oh, go
if
ahead.
I'm sorry, if I may speak.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Azurians we may have concerns with. I would like to bring up that our area of space contains what we might call a great number of known unknowns. We recently discovered that the territory that we are operating in may have as many as 4 warp capable species, that many of which we have not yet uh, had first contact with. The uh, the Unearthians may be the devil we know as far as this goes, because we really like there's a lot of questions that we have about our area of space.
Quite. There are a few powers in that section that we're not quite sure if they're territorial or not.
Correct. If this location is outside of the territories, that should not be a problem. And as far as the imperialistic nature of the Azurians, cordial relations with all their neighbors, so they at least know how to behave well with others. So there is that as well.
The thing is we don't know what sections of that area those prospective empires own or lay claim to. We could pick a planet for them, the planet we have chosen out from them for that sector, and it could be owned by any one of those powers.
Or they could later
Um,
decide it is.
Storyteller, Since Jill basically looked at the Azurian map, any chance of either figuring out if it's outside of their territory, or at least or spending 2 momentum as an advantage to make sure it's outside of any of the territory that they've depicted?
You're talking about the perfect planet that you guys have already spent 2 momentum for an advantage on? Yes, it's certainly out of their territory.
Okay. So a lot of the concerns about it being in their claim space is a non-issue at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was to me. Yes.
She'll nod. At the same time, the Gungnir will be is more equipped to handle them if they get out of line. We may look like a warship, but we are not.
Well, perhaps we can make preparations that we will all be moving on in short order.
I mean, honestly, if it's all the same, she says, I think that the Gungnir should handle it, she says. We have so much political intrigue, we're up to our ears.
That is true.
They certainly carry the big stick.
Yeah, at this point, Jill's attention is split between the two captains.
Would you be okay taking it, Fenner?
Of course, we'd be happy to.
She nods. Well, now that that's settled, drinks anyone? She says. She'll get up.
Please.
She nods and she'll say, I'll be back momentarily, she says. And she'll go and grab a one of her other bottles of Elurian liquor and will come back and pour everyone a glass.
And just because I know a couple people have to go soon, and this seems like a good breaking point with New and Earth kind of getting sent a few delegations from the Federation and the Gugner. I apologize. Sorry, taking the nest with them as they depart the system.
Can I call for a quick opportunity to talk to Commander Sorrel?
Uh, yeah. You guys could definitely, as long as he's okay with it. I think you guys could definitely find either a quiet corner or could step out into the hall.
Absolutely.
Commander, I wanted to quickly have the opportunity to meet you because you weren't on your ship when I last was there, and I wanted to speak to you quietly off the record. In future, if you could let me know when you order someone to join one of my away teams, a heads up would be appreciated.
Oh boy, I have no idea what we're talking about.
And that's what I want to know. And I am using cold read to figure out whether or not that the lieutenant lied to me.
I am a Vulcan. My features are generally inscrutable.
Yeah, but he's a lawyer. He can
He's-
get the truth
He's
out
got
of a
the lawyer
Vulcan.
powers.
Shall we make it a roll then?
Maybe the post roll?
Sure.
Actually, I did contact Sorrel about giving you the blueprints for the psychic dampeners. It could have been a good chance for him to suggest that I go along, given what happened last time.
But he didn't, is my understanding.
Because he is confused. Vulcan is confused.
I think that's also confused player is confused.
Also, but
No, maybe Sorrel is slipping. Maybe he's got
He-
that Tuvok disease.
He's got a new disease. We'll call it Ross syndrome.
Ross syndrome.
It's when you have a bond with Ross for too long.
I mean, if you hesitate, I'm just going to move on to let you know why I'm saying this. But I mean, we can. We don't have to do a roll.
His answer would be that it would certainly be my first off, Commander. I apologize for the imposition, and secondly, I can assure you that any future circumstance will be done with 100% of your consultation.
Thank you.
Oh, this streak is quite refreshing. Would you say?
You
Yes,
said
I
changing
would.
the subject.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to see if I can see through this Vulcan, if if that's a possibility still. But otherwise, I drop it there.
I'm a little hesitant to make that call simply because Sorrel is not, quote, one of my players. However,
I'm comfortable with that, or whatever call you make, GM.
then I probably would say we're looking at an opposed role, probably somewhat tilted, even with the cold reading in the Vulcan's favor.
Sure. Cold read only matters if I win.
Okay, fair enough. So probably in either I would think for the reading, probably either insight with security or command. And then for the uh presence command for the Sorrel.
Can I use composure as a focus?
Yes.
That seems fair.
Now, with an opposed
focus, I would think Starfleet protocol might apply here. Otherwise, I'm fine with going without it.
Starfleet protocol.
He is trying to fast talk me with protocol.
I'd say persuasion's probably closer.
Okay, fair enough. I think we'll agree to not get into the arms race of spending anything on this.
That's what I would. So just a 2. Is that what you want?
Straight up 2-2. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. Of course.
Well, I'm the active person, so yeah, I get the sense that there's something fishy with that. And And for my cold read, I would like to know: is he actively protecting Fox?
I don't want to take away from this, but I always thought I was always under the impression, and the way that other gens ran it was that defender wins.
I don't think that's the case with this, but I'm willing to concede it if.
So I'll be honest, I don't know 100%.
I guess
I am not the best with the
just
rules.
with you had said beforehand you were going to give the Vulcan a little bit of an advantage going in. That could lead
Yes,
to
you're
an
right. I had
advantage.
forgotten that. So yes, I apologize. So yeah, due to that advantage, I am probably going to throw the tie to the Vulcan.
All right. We can end that there then.
How is the how was serving under Captain Morgana? I found her to be quite an excellent physician once she served aboard the Gungnir.
It's been a delight. I've very much appreciated working with Captain Morgana. In fact, it's quite possible that my mutiny might be underway shortly, which I'll have to take my leave of you, though, Commander. Duty calls.
Certainly. Enjoy your evening, Commander.
You too. At which point I go and I might go to to the captain and say like, well, with the present situation being over, perhaps it's time for me to relieve you of command. I believe you have an appointment.
She looks at her chronometer, sees that it's almost midnight, and puts the drink down. Looks at Vanderveers and just sighs.
And that
Desesh just smiles.
And that seems like a good time to call it, as the two ships kind of enjoy the night and separate in the coming morning. The Nightingale heading back to Deep Space 17. And on to greater adventures in the Gungnir. Also, heading back to 17, or their found planet, with the nest in tow.
Excellent.